Oh, hi, Pata. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. How's your day been? It's been a bit on the YouTube side? It has, hasn't it? I usually don't stream any of the gaming to the YouTube side, so it's been how many weeks? How's your evening going, Starwin? Pata-chan? Feels like my voice needs to warm up a little bit. Will the glasses work? Thank you, thank you. It actually gave me a little bit of trouble today when I started it up, but a little bit of turn it off and turn it on again, and it's working mostly. Heading home from work? Oh. Pretty late, isn't it? It's going all right. More importantly, how are you? It's getting better. Recently, the last, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 days, I've actually gotten to a point where I can sit up for an hour or two each day without just absolutely crashing the next day. So yeah, it's been really good, all things considered. Definitely progress. Not a full recovery, but maybe the first step or two on the way there. 6:30, I usually get home at 7. Oh. So not too late for you in particular, just the usual. I'm decently rested. I think I slept 8 or 9 hours today. I've mostly spent my time in bed, so... Yeah, I was actually at the computer today and watching a friend stream and was just like, dang it, I feel like reading. I was actually contemplating maybe a Hades 2 stream a little earlier, but it's like, do I want to? Do I not want to? And I dawdled and, you know, watched friends stream. I was watching Patanchan stream Expedition 33 yesterday. That was a lot of fun. And then, yeah, I was just like, screw it. Stream time. If it's going better for you, if you even just... Thanks, Starwind. Even just this little step is really nice for me. Hi, Ro. Gotta babe, wake up, new tabby just dropped. Wait, go to sleep, Ro. It's like midnight there. Good gods, my voice today is just all over the place. I think this means I need to stream more. Probably. Maybe. We'll see. Just have to stream in a way that I don't crash. And also give people time throughout the week so that it's not just all streaming all week. Odd. Oh, there we go. Sound wonderful to me? Oh, thank you. So for me, I can just feel it in my voice. The you know the activation point where you're going from breathing to actually having a voiced voice? That is feeling a little awkward today. I guess I didn't do a proper warm-up before this. This is why you do your warm-up, etc., etc. Oh, okay. Hopefully that does it. Literally just went up and down a few times going, okay, voice, It's time to do the things. It's time to do the things, even though we haven't streamed in at least 3 or 4 days and haven't read in quite a few. How's your evening/morning, Ro? Anything interesting going on? Am I in the right category? Am I somehow playing Hades? No, I'm actually in just chatting. Oh, let's see. Oops. There we go. There. Okay. The tech is actually sort of working, which is surprising. Definitely had plenty of streams where I've had the tech has smelled the fear and the hurry. And today it just kind of seems to be doing what it needs to. Definitely a weird day. I've also adjusted my eyes just a little bit. Now let's see. I also went through a bunch of books today, and there's a couple of long ones that I want to read, although I guess they're less singular, cohesive narratives a lot of the time, and more, let's see, I think there is a book on Tamrielic religions. There's a bunch of research notes on Skyreach, which I think is where Skyhaven Temple is, maybe. And then there is the usual Daedra-related book. And then more Daedra-related books. And then there's one called Nerevar at Red Mountain, and I don't know if we've read this before. The story, at least, is something that we have read, but let's see, Nerevar at Red Mountain doesn't look like it's in my files yet, so yeah, doesn't seem we've read it. It's the Red Mountain is over in Morrowind, in Vardenfell. It's the if you've played Skyrim Dragonborn, where you go to Solstheim Island, the Ashy Island. It's the mountain that you see continuously erupting in the distance. And this is the Nerevar at Red Mountain probably takes place well before that eruption. So these events would be before Morrowind, and then Morrowind happens. And then the events of, I believe, the Red Year happen. And that's when all the eruption stuff happens. Also, the glasses are rigged now. So they should be slightly less awkward than the last time that I was streaming. Where the poor glasses just they tried. They really did. And thank you again, Potentia. Now let's see. Well, isn't this a pleasant surprise? Welcome, Crampton. Good to see you. Things been? How many weeks has it been since I did a reading stream? Let's see. Almost a month. 29 days. Oops. So I guess since you are here, that also means that we have another chapter of... Well, what's the book? A Dance in Fire. That's what it was. It's definitely been a while. Yeah. I think the one stream that I did a month ago was very much a me sitting at the, like, getting a computer day and sitting here going, okay, I really want to stream. It's been way too long. And then, you know, stream for some number of hours and read. And I've had, between that and now, I think we've had about 2 or 3 other streams that have just been gaming streams because those take a little less energy. But yeah. And then before that was July. Good gods. Before that, I seem to have been getting in streams at least every a time or 2 a week. Yeah, it's hi Luna. Welcome. Slowly taking steps towards recovery. Very slowly. Very, very slowly. But cowlick. I love the heart-shaped cowlick. Thank you. Wait a minute, is this the first time that YouTube has seen this model? So I know it's a fairly recent thing. Yes. Tempest Lim, welcome. Makes me think of Lum. Yeah. Well, hello. This is a little closer to who I am. Just a little bit. Still have the glasses. Still have the wings. Eventually, I'll figure out how to dispel the disguised self that happens to only be on my horns. That's been an issue since the very first model, unfortunately. The very first little PNG model was the only one that has the little ram horns. At some point, it got a little disguise spell on it, and now I can't figure out how to dispel it. You'd think I have this whole library to figure it out, and all the time in bed in the world to just tinker with it. No luck. Starwin, I've seen it on Twitch. I always just lurk there as a trucker. I can't message a lot and just listen while driving. Ah, that's true. Hopefully things have been safe and easy on your side. The last few months, half a year, have been all sorts of interesting in the shipping industry. But I don't know how much of that has trickled down to you. I also don't know which coast you're on, so I know the West Coast, the coast where I am, was getting really, simply put, really fucked up. Now, let's see. A brief history of Tamriel. Good gods, that is 40 minutes long. Maybe we will take a look at a slightly briefer book. I wonder how long the Skyreach Explorer one is. Only 30 minutes. Maybe I've chosen books that are a little too long today. Oh, Python. Hello, hello. Oh, and Darth Raymond. Darth Reeman. Thank you for the follow. Thank you, thank you. Oh, and let me run the ads before I start reading. I'll get a book prepped in the meantime. Don't worry. Where is the little button? There we go. Let's see. There we go. There is a fairly short book. You'd think I'd look at the length when prepping these. And I did, I swear. I was just looking for really long ones. And I didn't prep a short one. See, I think we can start with that. Yeah, that's only 6 or 7 minutes. Evelyn, hello, hello. You didn't know I was live? I only went live 17 and a half minutes ago. And I've been blubbering ever since. Love the model. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's a fairly recent thing, this one. And the glasses actually being rigged is a today thing. For the first time. Oh. Alisina Moseni. Thank you for the follow. Thank you, Ali. Okay. Your VTuber model looks amazing. Oh, thank you. If I know you've seen the older model, and I guess it's also on the thumbnail. Still images are not my forte. I still have yet to update the thumbnail, but this one's a little closer to me. So, can I say something nice to you? Of course. Oh, how's your day going? The day went, the night is going. If Santa gives gifts on wish lists, should I add your Steam to mine? If Santa gives gifts on wish list, should I add your Steam to mine? Oh! Is that a question? I think. Slightly confused. The 3 minutes are almost up. Hopefully most people are back by now. Oh, it's a compliment. Santa gives gifts on wish list. Is that gifts on wish list? I would add your Steam to mine? I'm sorry, I'm confused. There we go. Welcome back, everyone. Let me sit up, take a sip, and then we can get reading for the first time in a while. And hopefully this helps with the insomnia, Ava. Let's see. Go. And is it just me, or does that your YouTuber model level up in cuteness every stream because Aura made its amazing job and you bring to life perfectly? Aw. Thank you. The YouTuber model levels up. So far once every, half a year-ish? Hi, XRCCY. Welcome, welcome. Just about to start reading. Let's switch the categories real quick. And then, oops. There we go. And there. All right. For anybody new here, we're going to be reading some books from the Elder Scrolls. They're all in-game books of one sort or another from one Elder Scrolls game or another. So this is called The Persistence of Daedric Veneration by Lady Cinnabar of Tanith, a response to a rival author. If you believed what that old goat, Frastus of Ellenhere, writes, and what he's pleased to call his, quote, histories, you'd think that modern society's bias against reverence for the Daedric princes was rooted in some kind of instinctive revulsion against the Lords of Oblivion, an aberrance based on events of unspeakable cruelty that took place thousands of years ago. That is absurd on the face of it. Ask the peasants in the field, the cobbler in his shop, or the solicitor in his office, if he fears the Daedra lords because the ancient practices of the wild elves, and all you'll get will be a blank look. And the peasant, cobbler, and solicitor only fear Daedra and Daedra worship because they've been told to by established religion and academia, and because their neighbors believe the same thing. So, Frastus, Daedra worship survives in Tamriel only at the level of forbidden cults. On the contrary, it's easy to show that veneration for Daedra is widespread and widely accepted among the folk of Tamriel, despite the desires and opinions of priests and professors. Ask the hunter why he mutters a prayer to Ersine as he draws his bow. Ask the gardener why she asks Mephala to spare her vines from slugs and worms. Ask the guardsman why he invokes the valor of Boethia as he draws his sword. And one doesn't have to look hard to find worshippers of Sanguine during Carnival, or Hermaeus Mora among scholars at any time. What of the Ashlanders of Morrowind, who still venerate the so-called good Daedra? What of the spirit wardens of Menevia, who follow Azura? What of the jovial lambasters of Rimmon, who celebrate Clavicus Vile? What, indeed, of the Khajiit of the Southern Realms? Rather than abjure the Oblivion Lords, the cat folk of elsewhere venerate them openly, scarcely drawing a distinction between Aedra and Daedra. The Khajiit recognize the benevolent aspects of the princes, offering them respect at a minimum, and often admiration. Azura is a popular object of worship for Khajiit magicians. Sheogorath appeals to the feline taste for wild mischief, and the souls of the dead are placed in the charge of Namira. Yet, Frastus would have you believe every mortal in Tamriel cringes in horror at the mention of Daedra, and mocks my own work when I show him up for the charlatan he is. Or can we explain his petty hostility in another way? Wasn't it Frostus himself who approached me at the Dragonstar conclave of antiquarian scholars? Frostus, who pointed out it was the 16th of Sun's dawn. Frostus, who suggested we meet later that evening to, quote, appropriately celebrate Sanguine's summoning day, unquote. I believe he took it rather personally when I refused his smarmy advances, for it was shortly thereafter that his unwarranted criticism of my work began to appear in journals. Yes, perhaps therein lies the explanation. And that was persistence of Daedric veneration. Perhaps we'll read on Oblivion at some point tonight. Or is it on the nature of Oblivion? No, this is on Oblivion. There we go. Surprisingly short, this one. Is there CCY? Are you American? Partly, yes. One of my English dialects is from the Pacific Northwest. So, the Vancouver, Seattle, Portland, that area of the continent. Although I have certain pronunciations mixed in all over the place, I wager. So, for some people that might have been a little over your heads, if you haven't played any of the mainline Elder Scrolls games. But there is a book called On Oblivion that goes into, well, it's still mostly surface level, but will at least give you an idea of who these beings are that are being named. Crampton, who was the in-lore author of that story. Persistence of Daedric Veneration by Lady Cinnabar of Tanith. Lady Cinnabar of Tanith. Oh, thank you for the follow, XRCCY. You'll hear me use different, I guess different dialects, depending on, you know, what I'm doing, whether I'm talking, whether I'm reading, joking around. The Japanese pronunciation of English rarely comes out, but it is there. I use it sparingly, but I was wondering what perspective it was written from. Ah, Boku! Hello, hello! Welcome, welcome! It's good to see you again. It's been a while. At least it feels like it's been a while for stream anyway. Okay, good. Good. You can watch your stream again? Oh, thank you. I'm glad you have the time to again. Oh yeah. If you have any suggestions for music, if they're game soundtracks, I'll take the suggestions and see if I can find a copy of the track. So, either in stream and I'll note it down, or we can toss it in Discord. Let's see. Persistence of Daedric Veneration on Oblivion. Your voice is so sweet. Oh, thank you. Feels like it's gotten a lot rougher and more unwieldy since becoming bedridden, but I'm trying to maintain it as best as I can. On Oblivion by Morian Zenis. It is improper, however customary, to refer to the denizens of the dimension of Oblivion as, quote, demons. This practice probably dates to the Alessian doctrines of the First Era prophet Maruk, which, rather amusingly, forbade, quote, traffic with diamonds, unquote, and then neglected to explain what diamonds were. It is most probable that daimon is a misspelling or etymological rendition of Daedra, the old elven word for these strange, powerful creatures of uncertain motivation who hail from the dimension of Oblivion. Quote, Daedra is actually the plural form. The singular form is Daedroth. In a later tract by King Hael the Pious of Skyrim, almost 1,000 years after the publication of the original doctrines, the evil machinations of his political enemies are compared to, quote, the wickedness of the demons of Oblivion. Their depravity equals that of Sanguine itself. They are cruel as Boethia, calculating as Molag Bal, and mad as Sheogorath, unquote. Hael the Pious, thus long-windedly, introduced 4 of the Daedra Lords to written record. But the written record is not, after all, the best way to research Oblivion and the Daedra who inhabit it. Those who, quote, traffic with diamonds, unquote, seldom wish it to be a matter of public account. Nevertheless, scattered throughout the literature of the First Era are diaries, journals, notices for witch burnings, and guides for Daedra slayers. These I have used as my primary source material. They are, at least, as trustworthy as the Daedra Lords I have actually summoned and spoken with at length. Apparently, Oblivion is a place composed of many lands, thus the many names for which Oblivion is synonymous. Cold Harbor, Quagmire, Moon Shadow, etc. It may be correctly supposed that each land of Oblivion is ruled over by one prince. The Daedra princes whose names appear over and over in ancient record, though this is not an infallible test of their authenticity or explicit existence, to be sure, are the aforementioned Sanguine, Boethia, Molag Bal, and Sheogorath. And, in addition, Azura, Mephala, Clavigus Vile, Vermina, Malakath, Hoermius, or Hermius, or Hermeus, or Herma, there seems to be no one accepted spelling, Mora, Namira, Jigalak, Nocturnal, Mehrunes Dagon, and Periite. If you've played Oblivion, Mehrunes Dagon may be particularly familiar to you. From my experience, Daedra are a very mixed lot. It is almost impossible to categorize them as a whole except for their immense power and penchant for extremism. Be that as it may, I have here attempted to do so in a few cases, purely for the sake of scholastic expediency. LemonStxDesign, Molag Bal, Periite, Boethia, and Vermina are among the most consistently, quote, demonic, unquote, of the Daedra, in the sense that their spheres seem to be destructive in nature. The other Daedra can, of course, be equally dangerous, but seldom purely for the sake of destruction as these 5 can. Nor are these previous 5 identical in their destructiveness. LemonStxDesign seems to prefer natural disasters, earthquakes and volcanoes, for venting his anger. Molag Bal elects the employment of other Daedra, and Boethia inspires the arms of mortal warriors. Periite's sphere seems to be pestilence, and Vermina's torture. In preparation for the next installment in this series, I will be investigating 2 matters that have intrigued me since I began my career as a Daedra researcher. The first is on one particular Daedroth, perhaps yet another Daedra prince, referred to in multiple articles of Incunabula as Hircine. Hircine has been called the huntsman of the princes and the father of man-beasts, but I have yet to find anyone who can summon him. The other, and perhaps more doubtful, goal I have is to find a practical means for mortal men to pass through to oblivion. It has always been my philosophy that we need only fear that which we cannot understand. And with that thought in mind, I ever pursue my objective. And that is the end of the book. That was On Oblivion by Morian Zenis. I have a little currently reading. There it is. What shall we read next? Oh, let's see. Where is the sequel to this book? The Doors of Oblivion, there we go. Boku? Demon is a slur? I don't know about slur. Oh, thank you for the sip. I'll do so now. I don't know about slur, but definitely very much perhaps what we would, the same connotations of demon in our world. If you call a person demon, that's rarely a good thing. And calling someone demonic is also rarely a good thing. Now, there are probably some people that call succubi demonic. But I think those people are boring. Is there a third book after Doors to Oblivion? The Doors of Oblivion, yes, is the second book, and the third book is Secrets Overheard in Apocrypha. We can do that one as well if we'd like. That one is fairly short. That one's only 600 words. This is 2,000. I agree, definitely boring. Glad you think so. Now, let's see. Good. Yeah, at some point we crested 600 followers on Twitch. Feels weird. We're getting back up to the, about the same number as, the old music channel had. Sounds good? Okay. And then after that, we'll, probably take a look at the, next chapter of A Dance in Fire. Believe we're up to chapter 7? A Dance in Fire has 7 or 8 chapters? Oh, that's the Be Right Back text. Which one? Okay, there we go. Currently reading Doors of Oblivion. And there we go. And this is a new channel, huh? Not on Twitch, on YouTube. So I have the Octavia con Amore channel, which was the old violin stuff, right? But since that was like a violin channel, I figured, okay, just create a whole new channel for the reading stuff. And so I have Succubard's library. And that had to start off from scratch around February or March, maybe April this year. And that one's only up to 300-ish, mostly because I haven't been able to record for most of the time that channel has been alive. So yeah. Meanwhile, the Twitch channel has just steadily grown, I think. I think we started in March or April with this channel. No. We started back in last October. So about 13, 14 months ago. And we were at 100 and some odd followers. So I've gone from that to 600. Now, Doors of Oblivion, I think I am going to get a throat drop because I haven't prepped tea today. So I figured a trip downstairs might sap more energy than it's worth. So pardon me if I sound like I have something in my mouth. I will, indeed, have something in my mouth. Crampton, I believe A Dance in Fire has 7 chapters. So we'll get to read the last chapter of A Dance in Fire today, and then we can go on to... what is the sequel to that? Dance in Fire, 7 chapters, and then... the Argonian account? Is that the sequel? Let's see. Yep, there it is. There's a note in the Argonian account that says, note, the character, Decimus Scotti, was first introduced in the book A Dance in Fire. Oh, Decimus Scotti's continued adventures, now in Blackmarsh. Well traveled, that one. Potentially inadvertently, but we'll see. It is shorter. It's only 4 chapters. But still long, yeah. I think in total, oh, let's see. A Dance in Fire is 2.5 to 3 hours long, which probably means that an Argonian account sits somewhere just sub 2 hours. Now let's see. Right, we are going to read The Doors of Oblivion. Shorter but still long, yes, absolutely. So, we were introduced to Morian Zenis, the researcher looking into the nature of Oblivion and the Daedra, last book. And he goes on to have an apprentice or two. I believe there is an Argonian woman who is his apprentice, and then I believe this, the author of The Doors of Oblivion is... Actually, don't know if his race is ever mentioned. I know he's a man, but beyond, or do I? Do I? Anyway. I believe they were not apprenticed to him at the same time. And I believe this would be his last apprentice, this one. Does anybody remember what Morian Zenis' race is? Because I think there's a little inkling somewhere in the back of my head that says Dunmer. Dark Elf, right? Most commonly seen in Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. Sorry. No, it's just taken by the track. What is this track? I wonder, is there a way to get foobar displaying in OBS? There's probably a plugin, right? Feels like there's a plugin for everything, including dual streaming, which I may mess around with, because I know Restream.io is a little iffy with the with certain things, but easy enough to say, hard to actually get the energy to do. Oh, and if the music is ever distractingly loud, like you have to really pay attention to my voice to figure out what I'm saying, please do tell me, okay? I do care about it. I won't take any offense to it. In fact, I'll be happy you told me. Hi, Dimby. According to UESB, Morian Zenis is an Imperial. Really? Interesting. So hello, hello. Welcome to the stream, and thank you for the info. I'm not sure why. No, I know why. Because the various, among the Dunmer houses, whatever house Master Neloth is from, is specialized in magecraft, right? The Telvanni. That's who it is. House Telvanni. To be fair, Dummer do start out with at least extra destruction magic? And maybe conjuration magic as well in Skyrim. Looks like he appears in the Elder Scrolls Online. I thought he was an Imperial bred. Yeah. So the Doors of Oblivion, I believe, was a Daggerfall or Morrowind era book, if memory serves. Secrets learned in Apocrypha is from Elder Scrolls Online. Because otherwise, insert line here, that would be absolute spoilers for this book, and thus I will not say it. But you can listen. Let's see. Oh, also, if you have any books from the Elder Scrolls you'd like me to read, I would be more than happy to. Including things like the Lusty Argonian Bard. And the sultry Argonian... Lusty Argonian Maid. Sultry Argonian Bard. My apologies. Yeah. Here is the Doors of Oblivion. When thou enterest into oblivion, oblivion entereth into thee. Nigh Tyrol Liar. The greatest mage who ever lived was my master, Morian Zenas. You have heard of him as the author of the book On Oblivion, the standard text for all on matters Daedric. Despite many entreaties over the years, he refused to update his classic book with his new discoveries and theories, because he found that the more one delves into these realms, the less certain one is. He did not want conjecture. He wanted facts. For decades before and after the publication of On Oblivion, Zenas compiled a vast personal library on the subject of Oblivion, the home of the Daedra. He divided his time between his research and personal magical growth, on the assumption that should he succeed in finding a way into the dangerous world beyond and behind ours, he would need much power to wander its dark paths. 12 years before Zenas began the journey, he prepared his life to make. There we go. 12 years before Zenas began the journey he had prepared his whole life to make. He hired me as an assistant. I possessed the 3 attributes he required for the position. I was young and eager to help without question. I could read any book once and memorize its contents, and, despite my youth, I was already a master of conjuration. Zenas, too, was a master of conjuration. Indeed, a master at all the known and unknown schools. But he did not want to rely on his ability alone in the most perilous of his research. In an underground vault, he summoned Daedra to interview them on their native land. And for that, he needed another conjurer to make certain they came, were bound, and were sent away again without incident. I will never forget that vault. Not for its looks, which was plain and unadorned, but for what you couldn't see. There were scents that lingered long after the summoned creature had left. Flowers and sulfur, sex and decay, power and madness. They haunt me still to this very day. Conjuration, for the layman unacquainted with its workings, connects the caster's mind with that of the summoned. It is a tenuous link, meant only to lure, hold, and dismiss. But in the hands of a master, it can be much stronger. The Psijics and Dwemer can, in the Dwemer's case, perhaps I should say could, connect with the minds of others and converse miles apart, a skill that is sometimes called telepathy. Over the course of my employment, Zenis and I developed such a link between one another. It was accidental, a result of two powerful conjurers working closely together. But we decided that it would be valuable should he succeed in traveling to oblivion. Since the denizens of that land could be touched even by the skills of an amateur conjurer, it was possible we could continue to communicate while he was there, so I could record his discoveries. The doors to oblivion, to use Morian Zenis's phrase, are not easily found, and we exhausted many possibilities before we found one where we held the key. The Psijics of Artaeum have a place they call the Dreaming Cave, where it is said one can enter into the Daedric realms and return. Iakesis, Sothasil, Nemate, and many others have been recorded as using this means, but despite many entreaties to the Order, we were denied its use. Celeris, the leader of the Order, has told us it has been sealed off for the safety of all. We had hopes of using the ruins of the Battle Spire to access Oblivion. The Weir Gate still stands, though the old proving grounds of the Imperial Battle Mages itself was shattered some years ago in Jagar Tharn's time. Sadly, after an exhaustive search through the detritus, we had to conclude that when it was destroyed, all access to the realms beyond, the Soul Cairn, the Shade Perilous, and the Havoc Wellhead, had been broken. It was probably for the good, but it frustrated our goal. The reader may have heard of other doors, and they may be assured we attempted to find them all. Some are pure legend, or, at any rate, not traceable based on the information left behind. There are references in lore to Maruk's Abyss, the Corrington Mirror, the Mantillan Crux, the Crossroads, the Mouth, a riddle of an alchemical formula called Yakinth and Rising Sun, and many other places and objects that are said to be doors, but we could not find. Some exist, but cannot be entered safely. The whirlpool in the Abyssian called the Maelstrom of Baal can make ships disappear, and may be a portal into oblivion, but the trauma of riding its waves would surely slay any who tried. Likewise, we do not consider it worth the risk to leap from the Pillar of Thras, a 1,000-foot-tall spiral of coral, though we witnessed the sacrifices the Slodes made there. Some victims were killed by the fall, but some indeed seemed to vanish before being dashed on the rocks. Since the Slode did not seem certain why some were taken and some died, we did not favor the odds of the plunge. The simplest and most maddeningly complex way to go to oblivion was simply to cease to be here and begin to be there. Throughout history, there are examples of mages who seem to travel to the realms beyond ours seemingly at will. Many of these voyagers are long dead, if they ever existed, but we were able to find one still living. In a tower of Zapharbel Bay, on the island of Vardenfell in the province of Morrowind, there exists a very old, very reclusive wizard named Devaith Fear. He was not easy to reach, and he was reluctant to share with Morian Zenith the secret door to oblivion. Fortunately, my master's knowledge of lore impressed Fear, and he taught him the way. I would be breaking the promise to Zenith and Fear to explain the procedure here, and I would not divulge it even if I could. If there is dangerous knowledge to be had, that is it. But I do not reveal too much to say that Fear's scheme relied on exploiting a series of portals to various realms created by a Telvanni wizard long missing and presumed dead. Against the disadvantage of this limited number of access points, we weighed the relative reliability and security of passage, and considered ourselves fortunate in our informant. Captain, we don't talk about Battlespire? Why don't we talk about Battlespire? Is that the first rule of Battlespire? Morian Zenith then left this world to begin his exploration. I stayed at the library to transcribe his information and help him with any research he needed. "Don't," he whispered to me on the first day of his voyage. Despite the inherent dreariness of the word, I could hear his excitement in his voice, echoing in my mind. I can see from one end of the world to the other in a million shades of grey. There's no sky or ground or air, only particles floating, falling, whirling about me. I must levitate and breathe by magical means. Zenith explored the nebulous land for some time, encountering various creatures and palaces of smoke. Though he never met the prince, we concluded that he was an ash pit, said to be the home of Malakath, where anguish, betrayal, and broken promises like ash filled the bitter air. "The sky is on fire," I heard him say as he moved on to the next realm. "The ground is sludge, but traversable. I see blackened ruins all around me, like a war was fought here in the distant past. The air is freezing. I cast blooms of warmth all around me, but it still feels like daggers of ice stabbing me in all directions." This was Cold Harbor, where Molag Bal was prince. It appeared to Zenith as if it were a future Nirn, under the king of rape, desolate and barren, filled with suffering. I could hear Morian Zenith weep at the images he saw, and shiver at the sight of the imperial palace spattered with blood and excrement. "Too much beauty," Zenith gasped as he went to the next realm. I'm half blind. I see flowers and waterfalls, majestic trees. The city of Silver, but it's all a blur. The colors run like water. It's raining now, and the wind smells like perfume. This surely is Moonshadow, where Azura dwells. Zenith was right. And astonishingly, he even had audience with the Queen of Dusk and Dawn in her Rose Palace. She listened to his tale with a smile and told him of the coming of the Nerevarine. My master found moon shadows so lovely he wished to stay there, half blind, forever. But he knew he must move on and complete his journey of discovery. I'm in a storm, he told me as he entered the next realm. He described a landscape of dark, twisted trees, howling spirits, and billowing mist. I thought he might have entered the Deadlands of LemonStxDesign, but he said quickly, "No, I'm no longer in a forest. And there's a flash of lightning, and now I'm on a ship. The mast is tattered, the crew is slaughtered. Something's coming through the wind. Oh, gods. Wait. Now I'm in a dank dungeon in a cell." He was in the Deadlands. He was not in the Deadlands, but Quagmire, the nightmare realm of Vermina. Every few minutes, there was a flash of lightning, and reality shifted, always to something more horrifying and horrible. A dark castle one moment, a den of ravening beasts the next, a moonlit swamp, a coffin where he was buried alive. Fear got the better of my master, and he quickly passed to the next realm. I heard him laugh. I feel like I'm home now. LemonStxDesign described to me an endless library, shelves stretching on in every direction, stacks on top of stacks. Pages floated on a mystical wind that he could not feel. Every book had a black cover with no title. He could see no one, but felt the presence of ghosts moving through the stacks, rifling through books, ever searching. It was Apocrypha, the home of Hermaeus Mara, where all forbidden knowledge can be found. I felt a shudder in my mind, but I could not tell if it was my master's or mine. LemonStxDesign never travelled to another realm that I know of. Throughout his visits to the first 4 realms, my master spoke to me constantly. Upon entering the Apocrypha, he became quieter, as he was lured into the world of research and study, the passions that had controlled his heart while unknown. I would frantically try to call to him, but he closed his mind to me. Then he would whisper, "This cannot be. No one would ever guess the truth. I must learn more. See the world. This illusion shimmer is crumbling all around us." I would cry back to him, begging him to tell me what was happening, what he was seeing, what he was learning. I even tried using conjuration to summon him, as if he were a Daedra himself, but he refused to leave. LemonStxDesign was lost. I last received a whisper from him 6 months ago. Before then, it had been 5 years, and 3 before that. His thoughts are no longer intelligible in any language. Perhaps he's still in Apocrypha, lost but happy in a trap he refuses to escape. Perhaps he slipped between the stacks and passed into the madhouse of Shiogorath, losing his sanity forever. I would save him, if I could. I would silence the whispers, if I could. And that is the doors of oblivion. Hopefully some of this is making a little more sense. I know Elder Scrolls lore can feel like a diving pool. And if you get thrown in and don't feel like you can swim, I'm sure it doesn't feel particularly good, but hopefully those 2 books at least gave a somewhat understandable introduction. Crampton, Battlespire is a weird game. Don't worry about my comment. It's just a silly joke. See, I've never played Battlespire, so I have no way of knowing. What was Battlespire? Red Sparrow! Hello, hello! Welcome, welcome! It's good to see you again. How have you been? Let's see, what are we reading next? Secrets Overheard in Apocrypha? Ooh. This is an Ascalonian theme. Gwen's theme, that's why. Oh, rest the eyes. Thank you, your local penguin. If you'd like to rest the eyes with me, just find somewhere that is not a screen. Ideally 10, 20, 30 meters away. And we're just going to look at it for 20, 30 seconds. If you have things in between, it can be good to shift focus sometimes. Just basically rest your eyes and stretch them a little bit. Now with streaming, it can be one screen at the exact same distance for long periods of time. So it's important. Right, Sparrow, busy with freelance work? It's good to hear. How's it been? Have you been getting enough? Hi, Vivi. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. How's the day been so far? And I believe it was an old spin-off. It's like a dungeon crawler. I don't know, haven't played it either. Oh. He just woke up from a nap after getting home, so tired. And hopefully the rest of the day is a nice rest for you. So I remember you saying that you were feeling a little better than yesterday, or maybe a whole lot better than yesterday. Are you planning on being silly now? Video game time? Good to hear. Right. Let's change that. Oh, oops. Oh, no, wrong button. There we go. Maybe Unbeatable has got the sauce so far. Story mode's more expansive than I thought. Ooh, that's good to hear. It's, what do you call it? Some rhythm games actually having a really solid story mode is feels rare at the very least. And then again, your experience with rhythm games is far more expansive than mine is, but might be interested in giving it a shot. Maybe one day. I know I definitely have a lot of games on the back burner right now. I was actually considering doing a Hades 2 stream today because I'm like trying to play only during stream. Give myself extra motivation to stream. But that does mean that until we get to the actual ending on a run during a stream, I don't get this to see the ending or even a lot of the romances because they didn't exist in the beta. So, yeah. At least we got to see some new things. The last two Hades 2 streams both had new things for me. So I played in the open beta, early access, but I think last time we beat one of the bosses and got to see Mount Olympus, and talk to Zeus and Hera in person, even. And I think the next stream we had one run into the underworld, where we actually managed to beat Grumpy Grandpa, and yeah, some extra stuff after that that wasn't in the beta, so that at least was satisfying. Is there romance with Skelly? Not that I know of. Maybe we'll have one with General Skellimaeus. Okay, so we read On Oblivion. I almost want to keep a little list of books that we've read today, like over in the top right of the screen. But I don't know. That might look a little clunky. Oh, before I read Secrets Overheard and Apocrypha, let me do ads real quick to turn off the rerolls. And then we can start actually reading afterwards. If you're not subbed, see you in 3. Or at the longest 3. Some people get lucky. If you didn't get around to the Toyota Corolla manual while I was gone, I have not, you will be glad to hear. Okay, 600 words, that's not too bad. Let me get A Dance in Fire. Where is chapter 7? There it is. I could have just searched the text for chapter 7. But odd. F3 isn't search in LibreOffice. I thought that was a fairly universal shortcut. At the very least, I know it's in browsers and in Notepad or Notepad++. F3 definitely is. Right. So you read The Persistence of Daedric Veneration, and then On Oblivion, and then The Doors to Oblivion. The Door to the Doors of... It's one of the two. The Doors of... Read Secrets Overheard in Apocrypha. F3 is the best. It is very, very handy. Especially for, if you're actually searching for something. Imagine the search function works when you're searching for things. Usually that's how tools are supposed to work, ideally. But... Oh, ads are almost done. And then, oh, right, A Dance in Fire, Chapter 7. We'll see how late this takes us. We're only at 1 hour 20 right now, so probably aim for the mid 2 hours. The mid 2 hour range. There we go. All right. Is everyone back? Roll call. Oh, hi, Belle. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for the raid. How was 40k Darktide? Oh, Wing Prime the Tyranid. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Bit peckish. I unfortunately forgot to ready the snacks for the guests. I do have snacks for myself, though. Hi, Panini. Hello, hello. It's good to see you all. Let's see. Let's get a shout out for Belle here. Apothecary. There we go. You forgot what? I forgot the snacks. For the guests. You are the guests. Also, welcome to the Succubard's Library. I'm a succubus and a bard. And I read things. It's really the other ways of, getting energy and sustenance from people. It takes a little too much energy, especially in my current state. Sip. I will definitely sip. If you're a fan of the Elder Scrolls, welcome, welcome. Plenty of Elder Scrolls books. If you're not a fan of Elder Scrolls, there's a lot of interesting books in the Elder Scrolls. Some of them are things like how religion works, how magic works, or in most cases, well, I guess in all cases, it's the author's perception of how they work, right? Is one of the things about the Elder Scrolls universe is that every narrator is unreliable. We get kind of podcast-like. We ended the stream talking about bad dragons again. That's not too surprising, I suppose. Or really not surprising at all. What about good dragons, though? What are those like? Because I already know what the bad dragons are like. Just girly things? Definitely. Who would have guessed Succubus was a bard? You know, it's a profession where people in small ways give you energy. Consensually, even. And also I can get sustenance from many people at once. That's the wonderful thing about being a bard. Of course, that means potentially double the raunchy jokes. But, you know, that was fun. More just the Subway Surfers in the back as Bonini and I talked. Subway Surfers? Subway Surfers? I thought you were playing, Warhammer 40k Darktide. I was about to say Eventide, which is probably not the right thing. Bonini never met a good dragon? Never met a good dragon. Wait a minute. Are you talking to chromatic dragons? If you only talk to chromatic dragons, all you'll get are bad dragons. Or at least evil dragons. Maybe bad and evil. It's the metal dragons that you want to go after. Those are the good dragons. Generally. I'm sure if you piss them off enough, they will be very inconvenient for your continued existence. She's saying the gameplay was the background for the talk. Right, but is Subway Surfers the name of a different game, or are you calling the poor schmucks that have to go down into the belly of wherever they're at in 40k Darktide Subway Surfers? The gem dragons, I forgot about that. The gem dragons as well, yes. Gem dragons are, I believe, neutral though, aren't they? Not necessarily good. Although I suppose characters that aren't evil will probably at least tend somewhat towards good. Okay, well listen, I get around, I dabble in a little cockatrice from time to time. Maybe not full dragon always. That's fair, that's fair. Variety is the spice of life. Oh, Subway Surfers is a different game. Okay. It sounded like it, but also I could totally have seen the characters in Darktide being referred to as Subway Surfers, so I was like confused. Super confused. Now, so it's one of those Gen Z meme games? Huh. I guess kind of like the Flash games for millennials. And also you're just in time, actually. We've read On Oblivion, The Doors of Oblivion. So now we're going to read Secrets Overheard in Apocrypha. Well, you were playing Darktide in the back, like the videos with the split screen has a mobile game on one side and the actual video on the other. What? Split screen, but one is actually Darktide, one is a mobile game? It's a thing people do? What? It's like something people do to jingle keys at viewers and it's become a meme? Huh. Oh, three stream streak, though? Nice. Yeah, something to instantly catch people's attention, I guess. And keep them staying for longer so that they actually engage with the main thing a little more. I guess in concept, I can see how it works. Just feels weird. Let's see. Right. Secrets overheard in Apocrypha. By Morian Zenos, you may be glad to hear. This is him eavesdropping on servants of a certain Hermaeus Mora. The Seekers pretend that they cannot talk, but they can, for I have heard them. They can both understand speech and utter it, though they do so with a hissing lisp. I shall tell you how I know. As is so often the case since I came to Apocrypha, I was cowering behind a stack of books, hiding from the baleful attentions of a towering gill man, whose notice I had inadvertently caught. I listened to hear if I was still gibbering, but I couldn't hear it, which usually means I'm not. Then I heard something else. Just beyond my concealing tower of tomes was one of those endless holes lined with numberless urns. Holes that I have assiduously avoided ever since I learned that each urn houses, in a broth of noisome fluid, a living concept organ excised from its corpus. I do not like those urns. Thanks, Tiny Cakebug, for the follow. Welcome to Succubard's Library. From the entrance to this hall of urns came the all too familiar squelching sound of a seeker's footfalls. But then it stopped, and in its place I heard, for the first time, the sticky sound of a speaking seeker. I know a thing, the seeker lisped, as a frisson of horror danced down my spine. Is it no thing worth knowing? Came the hollow, sourceless voice of the organ in the hithermost urn. You shall judge, floater. Not that why we have seen no mortal intruders, save for the demented wind, in many turns of the great pages. You know nothing, said the organ. I know old antecedent has entered into an agreement with the mortals. A compact, as they say. Is that nothing? Asked the seeker. Next to nothing. The golden eye is always entering into pacts with mortals. Thus my woeful condition. Avoid self-pity, or I shall mock you. You do not like it when I mock you. Listen attentively. I listen. In truth, the scryer enters into many pacts with mortals, but never before has he made a pact with every mortal unknown. But unlikely. I stated, it is a thing that is known. Oh. I heard a discussion between Scrivener Thorax and the 11th Preceptor, the came into the crepuscle, where I was quietly seeking. Yes, in fact. Now, listen. The scrivener told the preceptor that the inevitable Noah had agreed to a pact to cease all direct interpositions in mundial affairs. Impossible, I scoff. Mock me as you will. So thought I. And likewise, the preceptor expressed skepticism. But the scrivener spoke of a word of asseveration. Books scattered everywhere, ichor fountained from my earholes, and I knew what he said was a known thing. But why? To meddle with mortals and wrest from them their knowledge is the Daedra's favorite pastime. He seems to have been paid a great price, something he dearly desired, but I could not clearly hear what due to the injury to my earholes. It is knowledge, of course, some great secret. It is ever so. So I deem it as well. But it seems this compact binds in both directions, which is why the mortals come here no more, added the seeker, except for the mad mage. How came he here, and upon what ill errand? Asked the organ. I know not, but if we catch him, we will pull out his... What was that sound? I heard it too, and so I ran. I knew that sound. It was gibbering. And that was secrets overheard in Apocrypha. It is part of Oblivion, but it's Apocrypha's all of Apocrypha is in Oblivion, but not all Oblivion is in Apocrypha. There we go. Yes, Aurora. Welcome to the top of the desk now. She's been sleeping under it on my leg stool for about an hour, 39 minutes, and 15 seconds. You need perfect time to snuggle in and listen? Oh. Sleep finds you easily and quickly. And sweet dreams. Maybe perfect time for me to play Yakuza Kiwami 2. Where is Yakuza Kiwami 2 in the timeline of the Yakuza games? Also, Tiny Cake Pup. Welcome to the Succubard's library. A proper welcome this time. Mostly read Elder Scrolls books here, but if you have a request, I rarely say no, especially if they're short stories. If you have something from the Elder Scrolls that you'd like me to read, all the better. But otherwise, we read. I do play games like half the time, depending on where my energy levels are at. Kiwami 1 felt mostly like the PS3 games, but Kiwami 2 is kind of inspired. See, so I don't know which ones are the PS3 games. I don't know the Yakuza timeline at all. Oh. Good little boy. I can actually do that now. If feels like if a Japanese dev got a hold of Euphoria, the defunct physics engine that powered GTA 4, Red Dead Redemption, and Star Wars Force Unleashed. Oh. Yakuza 1 and 2 were on PS2? They're old. Cute? Oh, thank you. It's one of the best things about this new model is the mouth movement is much smoother and more accurate. And I may have also, I don't know if you were here before I got it or not. Before I was using, what's it called? Webcam tracking, which is not very good. But I got eventually got a used iPhone 12 mini. A nice balance of recent enough that I won't just overheat and blow up, and also fairly cheap. So that's what I use for tracking now. So, fairly accurate, fairly responsive. My eyes don't completely bug out anymore when the angle for the glasses is just wrong. But also with this model, I can do, let's see. Oh, there we go. So I can go, I can roll my lips inward. I can go, and ooh, that. And I can also go, and then a little smoother movement overall. So, yeah. There have been a few other smaller, what do you call it? Smaller adjustments in the meantime. But those have been the big things. I like the side mouth thingy. I don't know what that's called. Mouth X. It's really good rigging. Yeah. And it's also just extra parameters being rigged. The older model just didn't have the parameters. Even if I could input, it just didn't have corresponding movement to express those inputs. But now I do. I wonder. Does that come through as an eye roll? I'd have to look at the VOD to make sure. Is the, I guess not the other thing that I can do so much, but I do have shorter hair. But this most of the time, I think. Shorter hair makes me feel a little anxious. I've had long hair for so long that it's, anything shorter than, I don't know, my hips, maybe my belly button, is, just feels weird. Not really an eye roll? Oh well. I tried. Okay, so... Your hair's so long? It's down to like mid glutes? No, a little lower than that. Like almost all the way down to the bottom of the glutes, or the glutes and the hamstrings meet. The problem with that, so like For those that don't know, I've been dealing with like long COVID for the last 2 and a bit years, and it's gotten really bad the last half a year, and extremely bad the last since about August-ish. So I've been bedridden for most of that time. But I like a hairstyle called what I call the dead mom braid. It's a loose braid that comes forward of one of your shoulders and hangs down, right? And generally I tie my braid so that it can go straight back, and then just, I'll often have it hanging over a shoulder, because I don't want to be leaning back on it every time and ruffling it up, and yeah. But being bedridden, i.e. either laying in bed or like somewhat sitting up in bed, like 45 to 60 degree angle, right? Still very much letting cushion support my body. Being like that most of the day made me realize that the dead mom braid is a thing for either dead or sick moms especially, in anime, because it's literally just the most convenient hairstyle. It keeps your hair together, and it keeps it out of anywhere that you might lean on it, especially for those of us who have like longer hair, right? Where it's not just, oh, you might lean back on it, it's you might just sit on it. I have a little black hair ties that just, keep the end of the braid together, right? And I lose at least one a week in my bed because either sometime during my sleep or especially when I try to sit up, right? I'll just sit on the end of my hair, including the hair tie, and then sit up a little bit and pull my hair right out of the tie. And then I have to go get a new one because it's really dark. My bed sheets are dark, and so it's, really hard to find while meaning to. You can find them if you're not meaning to. That's the secret. But you can't want to or need to find it right away, so you just have to have a bunch of extras. I've literally got like a plastic bag of like 100 or 2. But yeah, for those of us that have longer than shoulder length hair, a loose side braid is just literally the most convenient way to keep hair together and out of anywhere it might cause trouble. So yeah, things I realized while bedridden. I've realized another thing or two, but I think people are here to hear me read, not ramble. Or maybe you are here to hear me ramble. Who knows? Vote now in a non-existent poll. Let's see. Dance and Fire, Chapter 7. I like ramblings. 7, so that's what, 2,000 words? 20. Okay, short story. So I have ADHD. No, this is not going to be a story about ADHD, surprisingly. I've gone on plenty of tangents on that one. I was actually on Ava's stream earlier today, and we were all talking about ADHD. Speaking of which, I think this is the right one, right? Yeah, that's the right one, Yeah. a wonderful, wonderful streamer. She had a 3-hour stream of Cyberpunk 2077. Evidently, she played about 20 minutes of it and was otherwise just chatting with us the whole time. So ADHD has comorbidity with a thing called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, EDS. It affects the soft tissues. Okay? It makes them usually more flexible. The problem is that a lot of your, well, basically all of your joints are not locked together in a mechanical way. They are held together by, they're suspended together in effectively one big tensegrity structure. And your knee is one of those things. But the problem is, so most people's knees, you know, they can put it straight out, right? Straight knee, and then a completely bent knee. When we talk about bending a knee, there's only one plane on which we ever think of that, right? Turns out with EDS, if you're sitting and you stick your leg out, your knee can be flexible sideways. I.e., you look down your leg and your upper leg would be slightly misaligned with your lower leg. Yeah. It took well into adulthood and a physical therapist going, huh, okay, bend, bend, bend. Other leg, bend, bend, bend. This leg again, bend, bend, bend. So, your knees. And it turns out my right knee is especially flexible. And the problem is, so if you plant your feet and you twist, like you're turning around quickly, your tendons and ligaments, their job is to hold things mostly together at an angle where you don't get hurt, right? Some flexibility, but mostly keeping it together. That's one way that I can hurt my knee. Also, sometimes I just step wrong. Just step wrong. And yeah. And I think like a week ago, maybe, I did that. And basically I ended up unable to walk without pain, and really unable to exert the strength to climb the stairs, which is a problem because I'm on the second floor. Luckily, I have a staff around, but a staff specifically that's called a Joel staff. It's a Japanese staff that is the lineage. It's not like a big old martial, you know, it's, what would the staffs that in England be called? Quarterstaffs, right? Big old long things that are way taller than you. No. These things are armpit length. That's the proper measurement for it. Which means I literally have a walking stick in my house. That's cool. But I think this is the very first time in my life where I have had an injury bad enough that I would want walking assistance. That isn't just sit in a wheelchair, right? Because long COVID makes it so I have to sit in a wheelchair to really go anywhere, because the act of doing things with my body and being upright is just strenuous, right? But in this case, it was the knees mechanically needing help, right? Needing some alleviation of the instant weight and pressure, as well as the strain over the day. And I think this is the first time in my life where I'm badly off enough that I need a walking stick, or would be helped with a walking stick, but not so badly injured that a walking stick wouldn't matter. So yeah, It does go clonk, 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 though, because it doesn't have a rubber end. But I'm really glad to have it. Because with that, I can, you know, just get up and down the stairs, and I've still been thinking about getting a cane. It could be useful. It might not be. Really depends on what you're feeling like, and what your issues are, and what your lifestyle's like. Now, I could get a knee brace that I just wear, you know, whenever I'm doing any amount of walking, where, like, it just makes sure that your knee is, you know, horizontally aligned. Maybe eventually. I don't think I'm going to be doing very much walking for at least a year or two. Anyway, that was the second little tangent about, oh, hey, there's this staff that, you know, I've trained with for years that is actually just a walking stick. Like, it hails from just, you know, Japanese people with walking sticks going, okay, what do I do if I'm just out there and some ruffian tries to rough me up and all I've got is my walking stick? And I'm not Gandalf, so I can't just, like, light them on fire or, you know, blast them. It turns out, you know, armpit length walking stick is actually surprisingly good for just, you know, not being too cumbersome. Doesn't get in the way very much, but useful in a lot of ways, and also very, very sturdy. You can't light people on fire. No, I didn't specialize in that. I tended to specialize in mind magic more than anything else. It's sort of been my life. Unfortunately, I couldn't apprentice myself to anyone that was like, here's how you cast ye old basic fire spell. And I know Yi is actually just a weird reading of Thorn E, which is actually just the. But yeah. I thought I knew you. I'm sorry. It's I don't know when I've so much as insinuated that I can actually throw fireballs and light people on fire. Maybe I can light their mind or their emotions on fire, but yeah, no oxidation going on, sorry. Which means that I really wouldn't be any good in, like, a survival setting where we have to try to get fire. I mean, I can still light a fire otherwise, so I might be useful, but, you know, no instant just whoosh fire. I can warm people up, though, by hugging them and giving them blankets and reading them to sleep. Anyway, let's read A Dance in Fire, Chapter 7, shall we? Let's see, where are we? That's that. That's where it is. There we go. Hugs. Oh. Warm hugs. So, Decimus Scotti, we've been following him for 6 chapters, and he's been having a hell of a time. He used to be a, what some people might call a paper pusher, right? He works in, I guess, infrastructure? Works with buildings and approving them for the Cyrodiilic Empire. I think the third Cyrodiilic Empire, circa 3rd era, 396, 7-ish. And then he gets fired. And he has reason to go down from central Tamriel, Cyrodiil, down to the south part, which is Valenwood, where the Wood Elves live. Except on the way, the caravan he's traveling with gets attacked, pretty much loses everything, including the building materials that he brought. Then he gets to one of the major cities. He gets attacked by bugs. Doesn't manage to find the person he's trying to meet there because they've already gone off. And then he tries to go to the next place where he's supposed to meet up by boat, except that a war with the Khajiit is suddenly back on. So that's great. And he eventually does manage to get to the city of Sylvanar. And I believe that's where we meet him, or we left him. And he's met the person that he's supposed to meet. Don't forget the city is a gigantic moving tree. Right, the city is a gigantic moving tree. Because wood elves. No other type of elf. The Dummer don't do this, right? They'll build houses out of, like, the shell of giant crabs. The Altmer will totally just, build megatropolises, like Tokyo-style, just urban areas with, like, towers and that sort of thing. But no, the Bosmer, the Elves, are like, what would be really cool? Giant walking trees. If we just built our cities on giant walking trees. So here we are. Chapter 7, Scene, Sylvanar, Valenwood, date, 13th of Sun's Dusk. 13th, Sun's Dusk, 3rd Era, 397. The banquet at the palace of the Sylvanar was well attended by every jealous bureaucrat and trader who had attempted to contract the rebuilding of Valenwood, the war, right? The war. They looked on Decimus Scotti, Leidus Juris, and Bast with undisguised hatred. It made Scotti very uncomfortable, but Juris delighted in it. As the servant brought in platter after platter of roasted meats, Juris poured himself a cup of jaga and toasted the clerk. "I can confess it now," said Juris. "I had grave doubts about inviting you to join me on this adventure. All the other clerks and agents of building commissions I contacted were more outwardly aggressive, but none of them made it through, let alone to the audience chamber of the Sylvanar, let alone brokered the deal on their own like you did. Come, have a cup of jaga with me." "No, thank you," said Scotti. "I had too much of that drug in Falinesti and nearly got sucked dry by a giant tick because of it. I'll find something else to drink." Scotti wandered about the hall until he saw some diplomats drinking mugs of a steaming brown liquid poured from a large silver urn. He asked them if it was tea. "Tea made from leaves?" scoffed the first diplomat. "Not in Valenwood. This rot meth." Scotti poured himself a mug and took a tentative sip. It was gamey, bitter, and sugared. Very salty. At first it seemed very disagreeable to his palate, but a moment later he found he had drained the mug and was pouring another. His body tingled. All the sound in the chamber seemed oddly disjointed, but not frighteningly so. "You're the fellow who got the Sylvanar to sign all those contracts," said the second diplomat. "It must have required some deep negotiation." "Not at all, not at all. Just a little basic understanding of mercantile trading," grinned Scotty, pouring himself a third mug of Rotmeth. "The Sylvanar was very eager to involve the Imperial State with affairs of Valenwood. Was very eager to take a percentage of the commission. With all the blessed eagerness, it was merely a matter of putting quill to contract. Bless you." "You've been in the employ of His Imperial Majesty very long?" asked the first diplomat. "That's a bite, or rather, a bit more complicated than that in the Imperial City. Between you and me, I don't really have a job. Used to work for Lord Atreus in his building commission, but I got sacked, and then contracts off. And then the contracts are from Lord Vanek and his building commission, because I got him from his fellow Reglius, who was a competitor, but still a very fine fellow until he was made dead by those Khajiiti." Scotty drained his fifth mug. "I'm going to go back to the Imperial City, and then the real negotiations can begin, bless you. I can go to my old employer, to Lord Vanek, and say, 'Look here, which one of you wants these commissions?' And they'll fall all over each other to take them from me. It'll be a bidding war for my percentage, the likes of which no one nowhere has ever seen." "So you're not a representative of His Imperial Majesty the Emperor?" asked the first diplomat. "Didn't you hear what I said? Stupid." Scotty felt a surge of rage, which quickly subsided. He chuckled and poured himself a seventh mug. "Building commissions are privately owned, but still representatives of the Emperor, so I'm a representative of the Emperor, or I will be, when I get these contracts, and it's very complicated. I can understand why you're not following me. Bless you, it's all like the poet said, a dance in fire if you follow the illusion. That is to say, illusion." "And your colleagues, are they representatives of the Emperor?" asked the second diplomat. Scotty burst into laughter, shaking his head. The diplomat paid him their respects and went to talk to the minister. Scotty stumbled out of the palace and reeled through the strange, organic avenues and boulevards of the city. It took him several hours to find his way to Prithla Hall, and his room. Once there, he slept very nearly on his bed. The next morning, he woke to Juris and Bast in his room, shaking him. He felt half asleep and unable to open his eyes fully, but otherwise fine. The conversation with the diplomats floated in his mind in a haze like an obscure childhood memory. "What in Rama's name's Rotmeth?" he asked quickly. "Rented, strongly fermented meat juices with lots of spices to kill the poisons," smiled Bast. "Should have warned you to stay with Jagger. You must understand the meat mandate by now," laughed Juris. "Those Bosmeri would rather eat each other than touch the fruit of the vine or the field." "What did I say to those diplomats?" cried Scotty, panicking. "Nothing bad, apparently," said Juris, pulling out some papers. "Your escorts are downstairs to bring you to the Imperial Province. Here are your papers of safe passage." Sylvanar seemed very impatient about business proceeding forward rapidly. "He promises to send you some rare treasure when the contracts are filled. See, he's already given me something." Juris showed off his new bejeweled earring, a beautiful, large, faceted ruby. Bast showed that he had a similar one. The two fat fellows left the room so Scotty could dress and pack. A full regiment of the Sylvanar's guard was on the street in front of the tavern. They surrounded a carriage crested with the official arms of Valenwood. Still dazed, Scotty climbed in, and the captain of the guard gave the signal. They began a quick gallop. Scotty shook himself and then peered behind. Bast and Juris were waving him goodbye. "Wait," Scotty said. "Aren't you coming back to the Imperial Province too?" Sylvanar asks that we stay behind as Imperial representatives, yelled Leodus Juris, in case there's a need for more contracts and negotiations. He's appointed us undrape, some sort of special honor for foreigners at court. Don't worry, lots of banquets to attend. You can handle negotiations with Vanek and Atreus yourself, and we'll keep things settled here. And Juris continued to yell advice about business, but his voice became indistinct with distance. Soon, it disappeared altogether as the convoy rounded the streets of Sylvanar. The jungle loomed suddenly, and then they were in it. Scotty had only gone through it by foot or along the rivers by slow-moving boats. Now, it flashed all around him in profusions of green. The horses seemed... I've completely lost my place, I'm sorry. Soon, oh no, there we go. Now it flashed all around him in profusions of green. The horses seemed even faster moving through underbrush than on the smooth paths of the city. None of the weird sounds or dank smells of the jungle penetrated the escort. It felt to Scotty as if he were watching a play about the jungle with a background of quickly moving scrim, which offered only the merest suggestion of the place. So it went for 2 weeks. There was lots of food and water in the carriage with the clerk, so he merely ate and slept as the caravan pressed endlessly on. From time to time, he'd hear the sound of blades clashing then, but when he looked around, whatever had attacked the caravan had long since been left behind. At last, they reached the border, where an imperial garrison was stationed. Scotty presented the soldiers who met the carriage with the papers. They asked him a barrage of questions that he answered monosyllabically, and then let him pass. It took several more days to arrive at the gates of the imperial city. The horses that had flown so fast through the jungle now slowed down in the unfamiliar territory of the wooded Clovian estates. By contrast, the cries of his province's birds and smells of his province's plant life brought Decimus Scotti alive. It was as if he had been dreaming all the past months. At the gates of the city, Scotty's carriage door was opened for him, and he stepped out on uncertain legs. Before he had a moment to say something to the escort, they had vanished, galloping back south through the forest. The first thing he did now that he was home was go to the closest tavern and have tea and fruit and bread. If he ever ate meat again, he told himself, that would suit him very nicely. Negotiations with Lord Atreus and Lord Vanek proceeded immediately thereafter. It was most agreeable. Both commissions recognized how lucrative the rebuilding of Valenwood would be for their agency. Lord Vanek claimed, quite justifiably, that as the contracts had been written on forms notarized by his commission, he had the legal right to them. Lord Atreus claimed that Decimus Scotti was his agent and representative, and that he had never been released from employment. The Emperor was called to arbitrate, but he claimed to be unavailable. His advisor, the Imperial battle mage Jagar Thorn, had disappeared long ago and could not be called on for his wisdom and impartial mediation. Scotti lived very comfortably off the bribes from Lord Atreus and Lord Vanek. Every week, a letter would arrive from Juris or Basth asking the status of negotiations. Gradually, these letters ceased coming, and more urgent ones came from the Minister of Trade and Sylvanar himself. The War of the Blue Divide with Somerset Isle ended with Ultimary winning several new coast islands from the Wood Elves. The war with Elsewhere continued, ravaging the eastern border of Valenwood. Since Vanek and Atreus fought over who would help. Still, Vanek and Atris fought over who would help. One fine morning in the early spring of the year Third Era 398, so half a year, something like that, a courier arrived at Decima door. Lord Vanek has won the Valenwood Commission and requests that you and the contracts come to his hall at your earliest convenience. Has Lord Atris decided not to challenge further? Asked Scotty. He's been unable to, having died very suddenly just now from a terrible, unfortunate accident, said the courier. Scotty had wondered how long it would be before the Dark Brotherhood was brought in for final negotiations. As he walked toward Lord Vanek's building commission, a long, severe piece of architecture on a minor but respectable plaza, he wondered if he had played the game as he ought to have. Could Vanek be so rapacious as to offer him a lower percentage of the commission now that his chief competitor was dead? Thankfully, he discovered Lord Vanek had already decided to pay Scotty what he had proposed during the heat of the winter negotiations. His advisors had explained to him that other lesser building commissions might come forward unless the matter were handled quickly and fairly. Glad we have all the legal issues done with, said Lord Vanek fondly. Now we can get to the business of helping the poor boss marry and collecting the profits. It's a pity you weren't our representative for all the troubles with Vendermark and the Arnesian business, but there will be plenty more wars, I'm sure of that. Scotty and Lord Vanek sent word to the Sylvanar that at last they were prepared to honor the contracts. A few weeks later, they held a banquet in honor of the profitable enterprise. Decimus Scotty was the darling of the Imperial City, and no expense was spared to make an unforgettable evening. As Scotty met the nobles and wealthy merchants who would be benefiting from his business dealings, an exotic but somehow faintly familiar smell rose in the ballroom. He traced it to its source. A thick, roasted slab of meat, so long and thick it covered several platters. The Cyrodiilic revelers were eating it ravenously, unable to find the words to express their delight at its taste and texture. It's like nothing I've had before. It's like pig-fed venison. Do you see the marbling of fattened meat? It's a masterpiece. He went to take a slice, but then he saw something embedded deep in the dried and rendered roast. He nearly collided with his new employer, Lord Vanek, as he stumbled back. Where did this come from? Scotty stammered. From our client, the Sylvanar, beamed his lordship. Some kind of local delicacy they call unthrappa. Scotty vomited, and didn't stop for some time. Cast rather temporary pall on the evening, but when Decimus Scotty was carried off to his manor house, the guests continued to dine. The unthrappa was the delight of all. Even more so when Lord Vanek himself took a slice and found the first of 2 rubies buried within. How very clever of the Bosmer to invent such a dish, the Cyrodiils agreed. And that is the ending to A Dance in Fire, which in its entirety is 15,519 words, if we include the title and other things. I sort of saw that ending coming, unfortunately. I definitely need a sip. I wonder, I might actually call it here. Give myself a little extra time for dinner. And... oh, another sip. Okay. I can definitely take another sip. Thanks, beaucoup. What did you think of the full story? Definitely interesting. I think for the most part, I don't see Bosmer as the main character or focus of very many stories. And so it's really nice to have a story in which the Bosmer feature prominently. And I suppose it's the Bosmer, so cannibalism is... it's eventually going to come up, wasn't it? Kind of wondering how the Argonian account is going to go. And how in the hells Decimus Scotti is going to get himself in trouble this time. Because I know he is. He's very, very good at it. Well, either he's very good at pursuing trouble, or trouble is very good at pursuing him. I haven't decided which yet. Maybe it's both, really. A mutual thing. Thanks for reading it. My pleasure. So it would have been nice if I could have read it all in one go, but it's a little long. Just a little. I would actually genuinely be sitting here reading it as a full 3-hour stream. Maybe we'll actually have a stream where we do that. But God, I wish I knew how to read. Now are you reading the other chat messages? It's good to do another reading stream again. And I didn't feel particularly lightheaded, like out of breath. I don't feel particularly tired. It's been a surprisingly decent day, all things considered. Oh, fish the doggo too? Oh, hello. Saw an Elder Scrolls mention. We were reading Elder Scrolls books. I think today we read a lot on Oblivion, and also the 7th and final chapter of A Dance in Fire, which we just got done with, which means that we're done with A Dance in Fire, and next stream we will read chapter 1 of An Argonian Account. If Cramptonator shows up. The promise is to him that I would read a chapter every stream. Because I didn't want to take 3 hours to read A Dance in Fire and another, 2 and a bit hours to read An Argonian Account all in one stream. I would die. Or at least be very, very out of breath. I guess since you're here, we can read one more short story. I don't want you to just come into the stream, go, ooh, Elder Scrolls books, and me go, but we just read the last one. Let us pick something. How long is Nightingale's Fact or Fiction? That's not bad. 600 words. Obviously has to be the Lusty Argonian Maid. We can read the Lusty Argonian Maid too. But that is fairly short as things go. If I can even find the darn thing. Do I not have it in my library? No, there it is. There it is. There are just so many books under the that, you know. Maybe I should title my my files a little differently so they... thanks for my request, and also sorry for my request. No. Thank you for the request. So this is the Lusty Argonian... Oh, God. Okay, let me do an ad real quick. 3 minutes, and then we can get back to reading. You've read it almost every time I join one of your readings? Have we? Well, it is the most well-known book in the Elder Scrolls. Just hands down, right? Would it not be perfect as a finisher? Maybe. It's a classic. In a way, it is. So the Lusty Argonian Maid is actually an oral tradition. The theater piece, The Lusty Argonian Maid, written by a certain Dummer, is effectively the adaptation of an oral bardic story into theater. Like 8 hours of theater smut in lore or something. Is it that long? Are we sure 8 actually means 8? Or is it more in the range of 3, 4? You know how these things in counting get. K-Fowl, thank you for the follow. Welcome to Succubard's Library. It's like a 7-act play? Interesting. Wait a minute. That's yeah, the 2 little snippets that we get, I believe, are Act 4 and Act 7. There are a lot of acts, yeah. Oh. And another minute until I think everyone is back from ads, and then we can read. Wish I didn't have to, but the pre-roll ads turn on if I don't do 3 hours. It's just like, okay. Twist my arm, why don't you? The other acts don't actually exist, or do they? We can make them exist. If anybody wants to write more Lusty Argonian Maid, I am more than happy to read them. But they do have to be innuendo, not explicit. Otherwise, it wouldn't be the Lusty Argonian Maid, it would just be smutty fanfic. Imagine seeing an Argonian getting their guts punched for 8 hours and it being considered the peak of cinema. Well, you know, that they... I don't think they do that on stage. I think it's all very, very innuendo-filled. So effectively, imagine being horny for 8 hours straight. Just in a theater. Can't do anything. You're there. You've committed to seeing the whole thing. Probably. I mean, you know, between acts, I'm sure that you could, you know, hush-hush walk off, you know, exit the theater if you really need to. But doing so during a piece is fairly frowned upon. But imagine it, though? I mean, do we have to imagine it, or can we just get your local 3D modeler and animator to do this? If nothing else, A, that's a lot of stamina. B, that's a lot of stamina. And C, that is a lot of stamina. Most people can't walk for 8 hours, let alone anything more vigorous. even standing for 8 hours is fairly tiring. As a person who's done it for work, while playing violin, let me tell you, it gets pretty bad. That's what stamina potions are for? That is true, isn't it? Just your local alchemist and, it's just stock up on a certain amount of stamina pots and just have them delivered to the theater. Gods. Oh. I am having a little bit of trouble trying to imagine what the rehearsal for 8 hours of actual show would be like. Is I've rehearsed for 3 hours of actual show before. And that's still just months and months of multiple days a week. 3-4 hours of rehearsal. 8 hours of actual show. That's a lot of rehearsal that they have to get through. I'm imagining that the local alchemist is really making out. Making out? Am I finding the right phrase here? Am I using it right? Do I have it, and am I using it correctly? 2 important questions. So it's assuming there isn't something like musical aspects. You still need rehearsal. The actors have to know their lines. You can't just wing it every time. I mean, you can in improv, but I'm assuming that this isn't improv, considering just how... Do I want to call the Lusty Argonian Maid well written? Yeah, well, just how fine of a line it skirts. There we go. Imagine the most heart-shattering musical composition overtop your lizard maid innuendo smut. Music enhances everything. Even your average 18+ video has music. It's necessary. Can't just not have music for the whole thing. It's pretty witty. It is. I do look at it and go, I kind of wish I could write like this. Hi, Crobat. Hey, waifu-chan. Am I a waifu now? Is that what's going on? And also do take the sunglasses off indoors. You'll hardly be able to see anything. You might trip over a book. But this is the Argonian Maid. We're talking about a story that has stood the test of several hundred years of bardic history. Gods, imagine the bards just sitting there singing, and you pop into the tavern at one part of the day, you hear part of the story, you go out, do your things, and you pop back in at, well past sundown. You go back, and she's singing the same story, telling the same tale, and hasn't looped. Just imagine that. Surely production value only goes up as time flies. Does it? Cravat Argonian Maid was kind of a freaky deaky champ on her own. They both know how to talk in certain ways. And the sultry Argonian bard, there it is. There it is. We'll read sultry Argonian bard too. And then, yeah, I guess we'll call it a night from there. Yeah, there we go. Do you think there's dance routines to it too? Maybe, but that more falls into musical territory, which is sort of it's almost opera. In the way that the musical is like the story is told through the music and the lyrics, whereas theater, not so much. The music can just be in the background, like a lot of game soundtracks. Maybe I'm in a crane game hell. I'm in crane game hell. Why are they making me play so many UFO catchers? No clue. When is maid comforts you while your wife is away ASMR? When your wife, when your maid, huh? When a random lady reads smut to you while you try to go to sleep. Can't call myself a maid because really I don't. Look, if I was a maid, there's a good chance that I would mistake some things and potentially commit a war crime via gas weapons. So yeah, I'm not a maid. And I'm also far too underqualified to be a librarian. Which is why I'm not a librarian. This is my library, but I'm a succubard. Your dress is way too long to be a maid? You know, let's see here. No, that's about fairly short, all things considered. There we go. All cute outfit. Thank you, thank you. Definitely feels more my style. Although usually I'm much less open with the top of the chest. But the black and the frills and a bow here or there. ×5. To be honest, I never even saw the whole seat needs to be trimmed like 6 inches. To be honest, I never even saw the whole thing. So the last model was a little longer, I believe. No, it was fairly short. The very first model that I had, the little PNG model, was actually long. But it seems that there aren't too many people that make long dresses for models. So this is what I make do with. Trim this one about 14 inches and it's perfect. 14 inches, that's basically the whole skirt. Got to go to sleep. Thank you for the stream. Of course, Crampton. Take care. Night-night. Sweet dreams. Fifi, you need food? Definitely go get some food. That is very, very good for you. Hmm. Fish the taco? I put too much thought into this theory of Argonian maid? Oh, do you think the story has a fandom and universe on par with some of the modern big hits? Oh. Yeah, there we go. Perhaps. I'm sure people have riffed on it. A bardic tradition, so people have definitely riffed on it. As for the theater piece, so theater can often be in the writing process, or sorry, in the rehearsal process, right? Writing, the writer writes the stuff, and then bam, you give it to the people, and then you rehearse. The writer's editing things along the way, but also during the rehearsal, the actual actors may also say, hey, can we change this around? Can we change this around? So each theater troupe is probably going to have a different version of certain parts, at least. So yeah. And there may be people that hear it and just want to write. All right. Let's see. So we'll do Lusty Argonian Maid, and then Sultry Argonian Bard. This is between Liftsertail and Crantius Colto. Act 4, Scene 3, continued. Liftsertail and then Crantius. Certainly not, kind sir. I am here but to clean your chambers. Is that all you've come here for, little one? My chambers? I have no idea what it is you imply, master. I am but a poor Argonian maid. So you are, my dumpling. A good one at that. Such strong legs and shapely tail. You embarrass me, sir. Fear not. You're safe here with me. I must finish my cleaning, sir. The mistress will have my head if I do not. Cleaning, eh? I have something for you here. Here, polish my spear. But this is huge. It could take me all night. Plenty of time, my sweet. Plenty of time. And Act 4, Scene 3. Act 7, Scene 2, continued. Lifts her tail and Crantius again. My goodness, that's quite a loaf. But however shall it fit in my oven? This loaf isn't ready for baking, my sweet. It is yet to rise. If only we could hurry that along. How would I accomplish such a task? Oh, my foolish little Argonian maid, you must use your hands. You wish me to knead the loaf. Here. Of course. But what if the mistress catches me? Your loaf was meant to satisfy her appetite. Don't fret, my delicate flower. I'll satisfy the mistress's cravings later. Very well, but I'm afraid my oven isn't hot enough. It could take hours. Plenty of time, my sweet. Plenty of time. End of Act 7, Scene 2. And that's the Lusty Argonian Maid. In Skyrim, they're split up as volumes, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Volume 1 has Act 4 snippet, and Volume 2 has the Act 7 snippet. And there's the Sultry Argonian Bard, which I believe is an addition from the Elder Scrolls Online. This is the Sultry Argonian Bard. Again, we'll have two little snippets. The first from Act 6, Scene 2, and the second from Act 6, Scene 5. Now you gotta imagine this in front of a live audience. I mean, I'm already doing it in front of a live audience. With a full theater troupe. That's fair. And the suggestive motions and all the fun, right? Honestly, a theater troupe would have a ton of fun with this. So this is evidently by EmoteEden. Of course, these are 2 short snippets. This time between Croontail, who's the Argonian bard, and EmoteEden herself. A very self-insert. Self-insert or autobiographical? My lady, I could never perform your request. Is it too fast for you? I fear that might damage my instrument. Ah, but you seem to handle your instrument so well, my darling. You flatter me, my lady. You flatter me, my lady. Yes, well, this is such a large and magnificent piece. May I hold it? Goodness, no. The innkeeper would never approve of such a public display. Then, may I suggest a private performance? Perhaps away from the noise of the inn, where we both may enjoy your tremendous talent. Surely you don't mean for me to accompany me to your room? Indeed I do, my sweet. Indeed I do. That's scene 2. This is scene 5. And sorry about the bonk. And again, Croontail, and then Elliot. My lady, such a risque request you make of me, to enter this hall and perform such a laborious task. And this is no standard hall. This hall welcomes you into its recesses. You know this as well as I. Yes, but such depth this hole has, and its crevices so damp, I fear this may be a hard task for me indeed. Surely the harder this task becomes, the more fun it'll be. My lady, you do flatter me indeed. You had me so far. But this time, come now, Croontail, come. My lady, what if the innkeeper stumbles upon our proclivities? Perhaps he'd also like to join us in tackling this hard task. Surely you don't mean... Indeed I do, my sweet. Indeed I do. And scene 6? Sorry, act 6, scene 5. So yeah, that was the Sultry Argonian Bard. This one's a little more on the nose than Lusty Argonian Mid. You can sort of feel the difference in writing a little bit. But yeah, if you would like to write extra acts or scenes of Argonian smut, I'd be more than happy to read them. Honestly, I might put out a post on my social media for it. Speaking of, obviously following is decent. If you want to join us chatting while I'm not streaming and sharing things and all of that, I believe this works on... There we go. It worked on Twitch, but not on YouTube. Right. There it is. If you're on the YouTube side and haven't wandered into Discord yet, there it is. There we go. Otherwise, follow those, you know, the things that make it so that you can watch again when I eventually find energy again. Which hopefully, like I said, hopefully this will be a little more common now, because this week I've had at least an hour or two of computer time for 4 or 5 days now, which, to put this into context, since mid-August, I believe, the long COVID got so bad that I had a few hours of computer a week if I was lucky. As in, like, sitting up, right? Because that causes issues for me. Whereas in bed, you know, I don't have to actually sit up quite as much. So hopefully this will be a little more common. But in the meantime, there is, of course, Discord. There's social media. I don't really post on Blue Sky. That's literally just a I'm going live thing. But I do post things on my other one, which is on Fetty and Mastodon. It's the cutie.city link. I think it shows up as Mastodon, maybe. Who knows? Yeah. I say Fetty/Mastodon because people know Mastodon and it's technically all Fetty. I'm technically not using Mastodon software. Technically, I'm on an instance with using GlitchSock. So, I technically don't have a Mastodon account. That said, I'm also not ignorant enough to think that calling it just Fetty is going to communicate what I want to the audience. So I'll call it both. Zareth Kroll or Croy? Probably Kroll, right? Zareth Kroll? Thank you for the follow. Oh, need a stretch. Oh, that was a pretty decent stream. I was hoping to do 2.5 hours ish. And got to 3, but didn't go over, which is important. I must be off then. Thank you for coming, Mr. Taco. It's good to see. Still recovering. Gods, don't I know it? No. Here's to a continued, steady recovery for both of us. And to all the rest of you as well. Night-night, sweet dreams, and I need to figure out where we're raiding. Talking as if I'm going to cut the stream any second now, and I haven't even figured out where we are raiding out to. They had to take one of your organs. Ow, that would definitely make it so you have to have a good deal of recovery time. How's recovery been overall? Has it been a nice steady upward trend? I know for me it's been honestly mostly downhill. Like downhill over the last almost 3 years, 2.5 years. And then a real sudden crash in August. And then that's the only time where I've actually started really trending back up. It's probably only because I fell so far. You can't do sit-ups. That is fair. Does that also mean that you have to, you have trouble, like, rolling around in bed or sitting up? Let's see. Who shall we raid out to? Oh wow, there's very few people streaming today. I wonder if there's somebody new. Or is there anybody who any of you would recommend for raids? You can't do sit-ups, which is really annoying because you need to do those to get up from bed. Yeah, I know the feeling. I think since long COVID and a hormone switch, I've had, with violin, I've had this tendency to injure my trapezius, right? Which it's on the back of your, it ties the base of your skull, the base of your skull to partway down your back, and then forms a triangle with those 2 points and your shoulder, right? And so when you nod, the thing stopping your head as it goes down and then bringing it back up, trapezius, right? But the problem is that it's also used to stabilize so many motions, including getting up from bed. And it was to a point that getting up myself was really difficult. If I had cats hemming me in, I actually didn't have the strength and leverage to get them off to get up. That was bad. Hopefully you don't have those sorts of complications, shall we say. Cute complications, adorable complications, very warm, fluffy complications, but complications nonetheless. Right, I was going to see if there was anybody. Shall we raid out to somebody that's doing ASMR? Oh, there's a bunch of Hades 2 players. It was good fun. Glad to hear it. Oh, thank you for the follow. Thank you, thank you. Hopefully we'll see you next stream as well. Oh. Odd. I'm going to refresh some things real quick before we raid out, because I am suspecting my interface. I guess this is the price that I have to pay for having a tech jank free first part of the stream, where normally that's where all the tech jank is, right? Actually, I'm going to raid out to Hina, who does I guess she's doing a rerun stream, but it'll be a reading stream, so the people that we have sleeping right now won't get suddenly jolted awake. Although one of these days, I'm going to want to raid Patan-chan. And she's super high energy. So it might be that we have one of these streams, and then I want to raid Patan-chan. It's just going to be like Oh. Rip. There's Hina. Well, Hina does not accept incoming raids. Noted. Well. I guess that's where we're going today then. There we go. Come on, interface, you can do it. Wait. Okay, Okay. The interface is not totally borked, I think. Hopefully. Hopefully. Thank you all for the stream. Again, hopefully this will be more of a regular thing. Otherwise, night-night. Sweet dreams. See you again.